Normally we have the cryptid report at this time, but I'm going to do something different tonight. Yeah, I'm going to do something different because I'm going to be gone later this week to San Francisco for UFO Con, and I'm not going to get to a Dave 101. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give a Dave 101 till the bottom of the hour. And then in the final half hour, I want to take your questions on it. I want to get your responses. So if you're in one of our chat rooms, real important that you jump on in and join us for some questions because we got to make this thing work. Let's do it.
It's time for Dave 101.
I'm going to start off by saying that I am very disappointed in the way the field of ufology seems to be going the last couple of years, but more recently, the last few months. We have seen a number of groups pop up. We have seen a number of these groups gather together and seem to have a lot of pull with what is going on within the government and this subject. Here's a few things that I personally learned, and whether you agree with them or not, that is up to you. But the people I talk to, the people that I have exchanged information with, this is how I come together with my thoughts. Now, recently, many of you have heard me say that I no longer believe that there is disclosure. I no longer believe it whatsoever. Why? Well, there's just too much political interference around it that really, really makes me wonder what this story is all about. And the more I looked into it, the more I really started pushing this whole UAP term that I was never really comfortable with. Okay, why wasn't I comfortable with it? I guess it always felt from the time Hillary Clinton mentioned it for the first time on a late night talk show that it felt government generated. And that just didn't sit well with me because the government always has to put their stamp on things. We've always prided ourselves on UFO. UFO, UFO, UFO. And then all of a sudden 2015 comes around and there's this UAP crap. Here's what I've learned in the last little bit. I really do believe that UAP is a government term for things like drones, air balloons, maybe little spy satellites that are flying in the atmosphere. Whatever it may be, I believe UAP is a man-made term for man-made creations for spying and other intelligence that we use against other countries and that they use against us. That is why I have moved away from that and personally used the term UFO once again. It may not be the best term to describe the phenomena of what is going on, but right now, to me, it's the most accurate. The other thing that is really kind of grinding my gears is, especially over the last few months, we have seen a real push, especially on UFO Twitter, to politicize UFOs and the entire topic. Now, I try to be very apolitical on this show. Number one, I'm not American, so I have zero interest or vested interest on whether you're Republican or a Democrat. I have zero vested interest, even though I would consider myself a hybrid between a conservative and a liberal up here in Canada. I really don't care what anybody's opinion is north of the border, whether you're a New Democrat, whether you are a liberal, or whether you are a conservative. Doesn't matter to me. My job to get the information out is to call it down the middle. Sure, I can have a personal opinion that will never make it on air, because that's not my job. My job is not to influence you. My job is to bring you the terms and the facts that I can in order for you to make your own decisions on what you want to believe, on what is right and what is not. Many of you will agree with me. Many of you have not and have let me know, and that is quite okay. But what I've seen on Twitter recently is pretty disgusting. And basically, I read a comment yesterday that kind of really bothered me. And what that statement was basically that if you aren't a woke Democrat, you have no business being in ufology. Well, first of all, the last time I checked, the little alien gray dudes who have abducted me and many others, they don't care if you're woke. They don't care what you support politically. They have no political affiliation. And they're here as scientists to try and figure out what is going on for them. The fact that we are now trying to politicize this subject is absolutely ridiculous. There are very few topics in this entire planet that will affect every single person in this world. Nuclear holocaust is one of them. A major pandemic greater than COVID would be another. Jesus Christ coming down from the heavens would be a major factor. And of course, extraterrestrial life announcing that they are here. Okay? They don't care. Doesn't matter what religion you are. It doesn't matter what your sexuality is. It doesn't matter who you voted for. This is a universal topic. And here's the other thing I learned. To me, the way all of these groups are getting together, the way they are bonding, especially the scientists from SCU to Galileo Project to Ryan Graves' new project to UAPX to every other group in between, including the ever elusive Enigma Labs, they all seem to be doing one thing in common. And you can even throw MUFON in there right now. The board of directors, not the investigators or the people who are boots on ground. They seem to be wanting to fulfill a manifest destiny that Lou Elizondo wrote a few months ago, saying that he would like to destroy ufology. Now, I don't think Lou is involved with this because, from what I know, he's not a fan of Enigma. And he's got some big questions regarding their purpose regarding UFOs, which is seeming to be all about the money and the research grants. So, what is this all about? I think, and this is just me personally, I think there are a bunch of trolls that have invaded our Twitter spaces, invaded our chat rooms, invaded many other places to discourage and create deception regarding the UFO subject. And I mean that seriously, because the infighting and the arguments that is going on within the community right now is not very comfortable for any one of us who is doing work. Whether you're a hardcore, give me the facts and proof type of person, or whether you're a woo guy like myself. We are all trying in our own little way to bring these stories to light. Now, there are a lot of people who are out there in the UFO world who don't like what I do because I'm too woo. I'm too much believing in the stories that you, me, and many others have experienced. And that doesn't bother me because there's a place for me. There's a place for those who want the cold, hard facts. There's a place for the people who want the truth. And there's a place for people who are lining up because they just want empirical proof. That is the beauty of what we're all doing. And many of us hosts are actually seeing this, whereas where we were once before enemies and maybe shooting each other down publicly or privately, we are now coming together because we know that there is a bigger system that needs to be called out and potentially fought. And that is one that of a battle we will never win. That's because the United States military, the United States government, and now the scientists who are involved with this subject do not want us to know what is going on. Screw transparency, many of them are saying. We heard it here Friday night with Rich Hoffman from the SCU and from many other groups who he is advising. Where does that leave us? Where does this put us? Where do we stand? Well, we're not going to stop here in trying to bring the message out to all of you. We won't. We can't. This is what we do. This is what our radio stations rely on, our YouTube subscribers rely on, and all the people who download this podcast, around 70,000 people a month, who want to know this information, and they want your stories. Look, it's an uncomfortable time right now, especially with everything that's going on in the world. We are all on a little bit of an edge that we are trying to find our own place and our own little gem of happiness. And we need to do that. What we need to stop doing is the infighting, because what that does is that makes us look like a bunch of tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists that really don't know what is truly going on. No, they don't want us to change. They want this war to continue. They want people to walk away. They want people to get frustrated and to continue to bury themselves with drama rather than trying to get to the facts and putting the pressure where the pressure really needs to be put. And that is on the scientists who have decided that they want to be a part of the government project and those who want to keep the secrets from us. We as citizens deserve to know. We need to know. We don't need disclosure because there is no such thing. We already know it's confirmation. And yes, more news will trickle out. Maybe more videos and photographs will trickle out. But it's not going to be anything that sets the world on fire that the aliens are here. No, over the last 7 years since the institution of the To the Stars Academy was brought forward, we have seen these secrets build. Private contracts, government officials coming on in, spy versus spy. We have seen it all. And yet we still want to believe. The experiencers out there have already had their own disclosure. They don't need to know that this phenomena is real, because to them, myself included, it already is. We know what we saw. We don't need skeptics out there telling us, oh, well, maybe that alien in the forest was a tree, Dave, or maybe you were seeing things that you weren't seeing before. No, I know what I saw, and I had a witness with me. Many people are in the exact same branch as I am. Many aren't. Many prefer to stay silent, while very few of us will actually put our name, face, and voice on podcasts, radio shows, or on camera, or in front of conferences to say, this is what I went through. No, we're all going to have our critics, and you know what? I don't expect people to believe me, nor should you. Only you know what you have experienced, much like you will never step in my shoes to know what I've experienced. But the one thing that we all need to do right now is come together as a community to say, Big Brother, you're not going to win this one, because we're going to keep the pressure up. We're going to keep pushing, and we're going to keep asking questions. And if you don't like the questions, we will still put the questions to someone else to try and find the answers. Because the one unifying question that every experiencer has is, why me? Doesn't matter whether it's Bigfoot, aliens, UFOs, missing time, ghosts, whatever it may be. We all want to know, why me? Because when you go through a situation that you cannot explain, you can go and push yourself to the limits trying to figure out whether you saw what you actually think you saw. What's wrong with believing that? What's wrong with accepting the fact that you know what you saw? Now try and figure it out. The pressure has to come from us. And this is why I have stated publicly, and I'll state again, if you're an experiencer or you see something, right now is the absolute worst time ever in UFO history to actually report your report to any of the groups. Because the minute you do, it's going right into government hands. Is that what you want? Or do you want some honest answers regarding what's happened to you? Find a Facebook group. Find some friends. There are thousands out there around the world who would love to hear your story and share theirs with you. And they have no agenda but to just listen or read and hear your story. That's the best place to find answers. Go back to those old school people who have had your best interests at heart prior to the TTSA. I'm thinking Grant Cameron, Richard Dolan, Linda Moulton Howe, Peter Robbins, and many of that ilk who just want to try and get to the truth. This isn't UFO for dollars, people. It's UFOs for finding answers. That's why we all got to come together, because the government doesn't have your best interest. The scientists don't have your best interest. And the military-industrial complex definitely does not have your best interests. If you want to know what's happening, go to the real UFO researchers. They've got decades of experience to help you out. That is your Dave 101 for this week. Let me know what you think. And in the next half hour, I want your questions. I want to know what you think and tell me what your questions are. Let's get right to it. I want to know when we return on Spaced Out Radio, and it's a good one. What do you believe? Where is the research? Where is the disclosure? What grinds your gears regarding UFOs? If you're in our chat rooms, put your questions in capital letters for the final half hour, and we will be right back on Spaced Out Radio. I love the audience participation. Bring it on, people. We got lots of show left. Final half hour of Spaced Out Radio is next.